Welcome back to the Next Generation Critic, where each episode starts with 100 points, taking away 1 point for each error. Today's episode to be trashed is Justice. Wesley faces the death penalty for falling into a plant. This episode starts with human colonization of a planet that does not belong to them. Yes! The first point is lost for trying to take shore leave on a planet they have no diplomatic relations with. -1 point for not having shore leave on the planet they just left, which was uninhabited except for the humans. Look closely, out of the turbolift comes Riker, Data, and Tasha, and now here comes Geordi. Where was he? So -1 point. Tasha did not ask what the one punishment was for any law, so -1 point. That would have solved a lot of problems in the future. Geordi says they make love at the drop of a hat.
Any hat.
Dr. Crusher says that sounds wonderful for the children. She should rethink that after what Geordi just said. Riker also didn't look up their one simple law, so -1 more point. -1 point for not figuring out what this glitch was before sending down their shore leave team. If you were an extra on this show, your job was to run around in skimpy clothes and make out with another extra. What a rough life. -1 point for nobody on the planet noticing 5 people appearing out of nowhere. Oh look, they have light poles and power lines just like we do on Earth. The people on this planet are way too happy. Either they are stoned or there's something else going on. Revon and Leator say hi to the new people. This is probably the most bizarre introduction scene of any TV show. Of course, Tasha's thinking about moving down here permanently. How did she get away with saying this on 80s TV? Worf's thinking, she noticed, but how'd she get away with saying that on 80s TV? Wesley's thinking, did my mom just send me down to an orgy? Revon wants to stay and play at love, and Riker is thinking, hey, maybe we should set up a Starfleet office here so I can stay for a few years. She says her people want to know them. Of course, knowing somebody in the biblical sense means sex. Look closely. The kids already have the ball and conveniently ran by the council chamber when the Enterprise crew showed up, which means this whole thing has been set up by the Edo, and they're looking for a stranger as a human sacrifice to the Edo God. They're thinking, cool, we get to sacrifice a virgin this time. This is one of those scenes that make you sign up to be a TV extra in seconds. Unfortunately, I never got to be in a scene like this. Aww. And this is how social diseases are spread on foreign planets. -1 point for a single set of turbolift doors. Now we're going to take a look at the shadow something. This is one of the few times you see them move the main viewer, and the Edo God sets off the alarm. Geordi says, I number 1. Picard says, what the hell? Everyone thinks Riker says it more. -1 point for telling Geordi to look out a different window when there is a perfectly good window right there in front of him. Watch closely, the probe here goes over their heads, but in front, it's going under the ship, so -1 point. Oh look, it's Bodai from Solar Babies. Captain Picard gets philosophical. This is a prime example of a first contact situation gone bad. But seriously, did they ever have a good one? -1 point for an obvious stunt double for Data. This person is David Graves. After this show, he pursued a career as a stuntman. Wesley says, watch this, I have a double to do my stunts for me, so -1 point. And you see, the other boy's not there, so it could be him being Wesley. Here comes trouble. It's the cute girl that lures Wesley into playing ball when he really thinks she wants to play doctor. He never realized that they already had a ball the whole time and were looking for a new kid for the human sacrifice. Wait, what is Wesley talking about now? Is this even allowed on TV? Looks like he really wanted to play doctor after all, doesn't it? -1 point for them all wearing uniforms on shore leave. There is a reason you don't have uniformed officers at an orgy. That will make the news real fast. Worf politely says Earth women are too fragile. That's sexist. Is Commander Riker hitting on Lieutenant Worf? He keeps asking him about sex. You must have some need for that. Even Klingons need love. Worf says, I think I'll pass on that. I am a warrior. I am not concerned about pleasure. And I need a Klingon woman for love. So he's obviously turning down Commander Riker. Riker lost contact with the Enterprise but doesn't ask Worf or Troy to try their communicators, so -1 point. Don't you wish Revon and Leator switched outfits? Tasha Yar finally discovers their one punishment on the whole planet. Leator knows what's going on. He set up the Wesley boy to put these foreigners in their place. Look at these beautiful planters with markers you can trip over. This is the oddest greenhouse ever, like it was set up for you to fall into and then get it executed. Oh look, they might be doing the nasty in the bushes after all. You can clearly see Wesley was set up for failure. They obviously wanted to make a human sacrifice to the Edo God. If not, -1 point for the kid throwing the ball at the planter since he should know better. Here come the mediators. Their law has a flaw in it since it seems to be only illegal to do something when the white markers are around them. Is it okay to do something if there are no markers? Now this is sexist. If the mediators were women, they should wear the same outfits as well, shouldn't they? Yes! Here comes Wesley's famous speech.
I'm with Starfleet. We don't lie.
And -1 point for not having a communicator on him so they could find him. -1 point for Riker not offering to repair the planter because they have plenty of tools to do it. But they're like, nah, we gotta make that human sacrifice to the Edo God. Tasha's the one that got them all into trouble. A little more research and they would have never come to the planet at all. Trials are really quick on this planet. He admits guilt because he knows they're going to pass the blame on Wesley and sacrifice the alien kid instead. This is a beautiful shot of Worf and Tasha together. This mediator shows concern for Wesley. It would have been a painless death, but now he's frightened. What an asshole. So assaulting a police officer is only a crime if it's on the other side of the barrier. The laws of this planet still has its flaws. Riker violates his own policy by having Captain Picard leave the ship and go down to the planet. Why did Geordi beam down? The commander, first officer, both security officers are all on the planet. Data is unconscious and Dr. Crusher is tending to him. So, who is flying the ship? Chief Argyle? -1 point. And Commander Riker, you actually broke the Prime Directive by coming down to the planet in the first place, so -1 point. -1 point for this cerebral conversation. Captain Picard does not mention that capital punishment on Earth usually meant seriously terrible people, not just minor offenses. It might have helped, and -1 point for Picard not offering to repair the planter instead. This has always been a spooky comment. What does the government do to people to find out ahead of time if they're going to be criminals? Leator gets all pissy, but I'm really just looking at the girls in the back. Are they twins? Leator now calls his own planet barbaric and backwards. Obviously Picard does too because he thinks they don't know the word orbiting and changes it to circling. And he mentions the Prime Directive too, which means they aren't supposed to be there, but they just wanted to go down for a good time on a planet of free love. This is actually a good out for the Edo people. Let their gods sort out the problem. Like, have the Enterprise crew repair the planter and not come back. But Picard is like, no, I want to make things worse and kidnap one of them. -1 point for Revon having darker hair on the ship. Revon thinks an advanced society wouldn't be concerned about local laws. Is that a dead plant on the left? -1 point for just not showing a picture of the Edo God to the people on the planet. That would solve a lot of problems. Why would the Edo God not know she was on the ship until they were looking out the window? So -1 point. Dr. Crusher flips out in the hallway, and Picard's like, it was your idea to send him down the surface in the first place. Data describes the Edo God. They are much like the Ship of Light on the original Battlestar Galactica. Does Data believe it was a bad idea to colonize the other planet, or is it just a plot device for him to ramble? Sorry, I meant babble. In the end, the Edo are judging Starfleet by their own rules. Dr. Crusher freaks out and runs out during Data's indifferent examination of the situation. According to the stardate, less than 2 hours has passed, so -1 point. -1 point for Captain's log talking down to the audience because we forgot everything during the commercials. The Next Generation is much more cerebral than the original series, and now we know why the network does not like cerebral. These talks can be boring. -1 point for Captain Picard not knowing Wesley's name. Data's speech is very similar to Mormon philosophy that the human race is on a long evolutionary change to become more superior beings like the Edo gods. In reality, Star Trek is trying to grab the Battlestar Galactica audience from the 70s. Data says I number 2. -1 point for Riker not knowing what Wesley's name is. It's not boy. -1 point for Picard beaming down without a communicator. And I know she has his communicator and gave it back to him, but he should still come down with one just in case she's not around. Now Picard has to give the just because we fly in spaceship doesn't mean we are God speech. He has to say this so they don't end up on ancient aliens hundreds of years later. The mediators bring up a point. They ask Picard to look in their deep dark past to see how they came about this law. But since the Enterprise crew didn't do their research, also known as breaking the Prime Directive, they totally pissed off this planet. Of course, this is really just one city. The people on the rest of the planet may have completely different laws, but we'll never find that out. He says Starfleet takes the Prime Directive very seriously. They say that, but they break it every single episode. So -1 point for interfering with the other lives in the galaxy. Poor Wesley. They're trying to execute him and everybody calls him boy. Watch them fidget while they wait to beam up. They're like, wait, something's wrong, we're not turning into glitter yet. The mediators say it's God that prevented the transport, but in reality, the producers wanted just one more boring cerebral speech to make this show last a little bit longer. Riker is out of position in this shot, so -1 point. They say, oh good, we're turning into glitter, and Captain Picard talks while he's being ripped apart atom by atom, so -1 point. Look quick, was Data telling Troy a joke as they were both smiling? Now all 6 come out of the turbo lift, and watch, Data sits down, this guy gets up, and Geordi sits down. Where was Geordi? -1 point. Picard asks the Edo God if it wants them to remove the colony, and we never learn what the actual answer is, or if they remove the colonists. But -1 point for not repairing the planter that Wesley fell into. And is this the only time we see all 9 of them on the bridge together? So, who were the Edo? Judith Jones has 40 screen credits, including Knots Landing, Growing Pains, and Life Goes On. Josh Clark played the Khan, and he will be back in Voyager for several episodes. Jay Loudon is big in the world of theater projections. Brenda Bucky has 70 screen credits, including The Mentalist, Supernatural, and Grey's Anatomy. And the Edo God will be back as the Lycian Space Station in the Season 5 episode Conundrum. Justice, the episode where living on a planet of free love comes with a price, gets a score of 66%. Yes! Thanks for viewing. Be sure to leave comments below, click that like button, the share button, the subscribe button, and I'll see you again soon.